Welcome to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. If you struggle with food and weight like I did, welcome home. Welcome everybody to the Heal Your Hunger Show, where we get to the heart of why you overeat and how to stop. I'm really happy that you've joined me here today, and I'm super excited for my guest because this is a woman who is one of my favorites in all the land because she is so sweet and so vibrant. And I'll read you her bio and then I'll brag on her a little bit more before introducing her. So Jane Barlow has grown up around herbs her entire life with a father who is a world-renowned medicinal botanist. Or botanist? Okay, sorry. She learned her father's trade working side by side with him in the field. I think I need glasses. From learning the precise harvest seasons for each herb to the distinct ways to dry, process, and create powerful concentrated extracts. Jane truly understands how to capture the strength from the earth. And she has created, continued with her father's business and is like the go-to gal for these medicinal herbs, and she's just amazing. And I love Jane because, well, Jane, I'm going to say hello to you, so I won't keep talking about you. Hello.
Hi, Tricia.
Okay.
You're one of my favorite people too. So.
Oh my goodness, I love you. So Jane's great because Jane absolutely walks her talk. And if you are friends with her on Facebook, you see she's 1 second up at the top of a mountain overlooking, lakes and fields, and then next day she's wild crafting herbs and with her family members, or she's taking care of her grandkids, or who knows? It's just she's everywhere. And she's like, you're ubiquitous, basically. There is no place you are not. And I just love it. And I just love what you stand for is true health and beauty and just natural, salt of the earth. So thank you for being my guest here.
Thank you. That was such a sweet introduction. Thank you.
Well, thanks for being here.
Yeah.
So tell me, I know a little bit about you, and the fact is you were not always, Jane, Miss Natural, healthy, right?
Well, you know what? It's kind of funny because I started out that way as a young child. I was born to parents who, my dad was a botanist, and he raised us with all kinds of crazy healers in the house. And the things that we got to experience as kids in the 60s and 70s when I grew up was really amazing. And then what happened is I got married when I was 18. I had 2 kids right away in my early 20s. And the whole world of junk food, fast food, crappy food opened up to me. And I thought I had been deprived during my childhood.
Right.
So, yes, I was raised for the first 2 decades of my life with all this beautiful nutrition and food and organic. And then it was like, I thought I had been deprived. So I went through most of my 20s and about half of my 30s just experiencing all the crap that is out there. So, yeah. And now I've come back full circle.
So how'd you make the turnaround? What happened for you?
Well, I started teaching exercise classes when I was 18 as well. So exercise, and I was always a hiker with my dad. My dad's always taken us out into the mountains, and that whole hiking thing comes by really naturally to me. But I found like true exercise in the gym really, really young. And I think that saved me while I was going through all those crappy eating times. So not only was I in the gym, but I was teaching. So I was up in front of the class, and I still teach classes to this day.
That's great.
But what happened is I think I was up in front of people, so that kind of helped me keep a little bit of a grip on it. But I was, through most of my 20s and 30s, about 40 pounds overweight, and I'm tall. So I'm 5'10", and I always just was like, well, I'm just a big bone girl.
Right?
That was what I always told myself.
Yeah, I call it the big bone theory.
It's such a bunch of BS.
Yeah, it is. I thought I had big bones too, and I'm like, no.
Yeah, and I don't either. I'm tall, but I'm not a big person.
That's right.
So
for those who are listening and not watching, Jane she's blonde and she's beautiful and she's fit and thin, and no, you're not like you're not an elephant woman by any means.
Yeah, but I am tall. I'm 5'10",
Sure.
So 40 pounds on a 5'10" frame really wasn't as bad as if I'd have been a 5'2" person
Exactly.
with 40 pounds. So I was able to kind of hide it but not really.
Totally get it. Yep.
Yeah.
Huh. So you're teaching exercise, and then you just finally realized that you didn't feel good. Did you get sick or anything?
I didn't get any terrible diseases, but I was always constipated, which I never was growing up.
Okay.
I started having my skin started having problems. Constipation really plagued me. That was the worst thing. And I started becoming really embarrassed getting on my workout clothes and getting up in front of my class.
Wow.
And then I just started feeling fatigue and just bloating, and I knew I wasn't feeling good in my skin. And I just kind of felt like there was something missing. And my turnaround point was I read a book called Fats That Heal and Fats That Kill. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book. It's a great big thick book on fats, and I read that in my 30s.
Is that written by Udo somebody or other?
Yes.
I remember. I heard him speak decades ago. I remember him.
Yes, and there was one paragraph in there in the middle of this book about fats, about sugar and how damaging sugar is for you. And all these light bulbs went off in my brain. And from the moment I read that one little tiny paragraph, and I know everybody has their epiphany moments, and it's so strange that was the moment for me, because when I look back on it, I'm like, that was it? But I stopped eating sugar cold turkey, and I stopped eating anything like pasta and bread, and like within about 3 months I lost 40 pounds. And it's been almost 20 years and I've not put it back on.
That's beautiful. Yeah, those are the culprits, boy. Those are if somebody wants to lose weight fast, just cut out, the bread and sugar, basically.
The sugar and the grains. Yep. Get rid of those, baby, and your health will explode.
Yeah, everything. Like you said, your skin. I mean, you're being regular. I mean, everything. So that's awesome. So, how do you have time to be everywhere present? I want to know I want to know your trick.
Okay, well, here's the deal. I had my kids when I was 20 and 21. Okay, so they're now 34 and 35.
Okay.
And so I'm an empty nester, and I'm with a husband who loves to travel, and he's also a person who really believes, like I do, in individual independence. It's not like we have to absolutely do every single thing we do together.
Right.
We each have these great big interests and things we love to do. Like when I'm hiking, he's golfing.
Okay.
So I have a group of friends I hike with, and he's doing his own thing. And we make time to travel. We don't just go, oh well, someday I'm going to travel when I have time.
Right.
It's in the schedule, in the books, and you know what? Sometimes it's a quick weekend. Sometimes it's a long week over in London or Barcelona. I'm really blessed, but you have to make time. You can't say I'll wait until there is time,
right,
and I'll do that later. So it's kind of like with what you do and what you help people with. You can't wait until there's never a good time. The time is now.
That is
like
so
don't put
true.
Things off until the time is right.
Absolutely. No, it's so true. We don't know how much time we have, and now is the only time we have. So today is it. So that's just beautiful. Now, we had a conversation a while ago, and you said you don't watch TV. That's got to be one of your secrets as well.
Yeah, in fact, as I was finishing up that thing, I thought, oh my goodness, probably the biggest thing is that I'm not a TV watcher.
Yeah.
I do like to go to the movies every once in a while with girlfriends, or sometimes my husband will go with me, but this is how much TV I watch.
Yeah,
I literally, TV, and I hear all these people say, oh, there's this great series and this amazing new program on Netflix, and I just am like, I can't engage. Because to me, for every hour that I engage in just sitting, being a zombie, there's just way too much brilliant life to live. That's probably the biggest kicker, Tricia, really, is the TV thing.
I remember that made an impression on me when you said that. I'm like, that is the secret to life, because TV just makes us sedentary, and we get sucked into, building other people's dreams instead of our own. And it's just, and we have no time. And, in the moment, it's just like a good binge, to be honest. In the moment, it's wonderful. And then there's a whole lot of price to be paid afterwards. So, getting
the
sucked
life
in,
you miss,
sucked into
the life
binge
you
series.
miss out on is crazy.
It really is.
It's just crazy. I'm busy from the moment I get up to the moment I go to bed.
Yeah, I believe it.
I don't need an alarm. I have this weird little internal alarm clock.
Me too.
And Yes, you too, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
good, huh?
Yeah, for the most part, and unless it like misfires and wakes me up at 2 a.m. But generally, yeah, it's good. 5:30, 6. It's a good one.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, something I also know about you, and I know you're so open about your life, is you as a mom struggled with a child who suffers from alcoholism, but is now in recovery, thank goodness. But
Yeah, thank goodness.
I think that's a really common experience, is to have a loved one who is struggling with addiction, and so. Especially being a healthy person and really having your act together, watching somebody you love not have his act together and really be wreaking havoc in his life and other people's lives. Tell me a little bit about how that was for you.
Honestly, it was, of everything that I deal with and have ever dealt with in my life, it was the hardest thing I've ever dealt with. And I still have moments if I text him, he's 34 now, if I text him, he doesn't answer me pretty quickly. I still have this little moment in my brain like, well, I wonder if he's okay. Yeah. And it's been 2 years. It's been just a little over 2 years. So basically, my boys are from my first marriage, and my first marriage ended because of alcoholism.
Okay.
So I believe there's both my sons watched their dad get drunk and verbally abuse me and pass out every night. And I left him when they were in their early teens. They were 13 and 14. So I think that there's a component there. And
totally. You got like the nature nurture. I mean, they witnessed it, and they've got the gene as well. Right.
So, all through his teens, he did it, but he kind of hid it. Mm-hmm. He was also had some, a little bit of insecurities through the divorce and through my new marriage. I remarried when he was 16 or 17. And the divorce was loving. There was never any horrible stuff for there. But, I think it's hard on any kid to go through divorce.
Sure.
And it's, so all through his 20s. So he actually got and has now stayed sober since he was 32. Mm-hmm. So all through his 20s, and I know I've told you this before when we've just talked, just you and I, there were times, honestly, when I feel like it would have been better for him to die than to me watch him go through the pain.
Absolutely. I totally get that. It's just so heart-wrenching to watch
it's pretty horrible. Sorry about that phone.
That's okay, no worries.
I moved it, but the base is right there. Sorry.
That's okay. So I totally get that. I think a lot of parents feel that way. If they died, then they would stop worrying. They would stop having sleepless nights. And I've heard parents also say, I wish he would get captured and locked up. Basically, put him in jail so I don't have to wonder where he is.
Yeah, and when he went through rehab, he went through only the one time, which was 2 years ago, and it was 6 weeks. Can I tell you, those 6 weeks were some of the best sleep I'd had in years, because I knew he was safe. I knew that he was getting help. I knew he was getting nurtured and taken care of. He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have a vehicle. I knew he was in a safe, loving place that was very close.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, the peace of mind was incredible. So that was, there are still moments when I worry, because he's kind of always had an issue with his weight as well, and he still does. Mm-hmm. It's almost like he's trading the alcohol for now the food. The food
substituting. Him. Yeah, it's very common for addicts, for alcoholics, and drug addicts to start to turn to food, and really blow up because of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's hard to watch, I'm sure.
Yeah, but he's got a better grip on the food thing than he ever did on the alcohol thing.
Well, that's good.
And he works out every day, so there's definitely, life is much, much better, much easier, and and he works with me full time. I mean, you've met him. You met him.
He is
earlier
a doll.
This year.
He's such a doll. He's got a great sense of humor. I really enjoyed him. Yeah,
he's a lovely man.
Yeah, he really is. Really wonderful personality. So what was it? Did you do a lot of enabling? Like, were you kind of in there in the soup?
Yeah, I don't know how you can't be without, I'm sure there are some people who aren't able to do that, but I enabled constantly. just because you don't want to see them hurt and suffer. And especially as a parent and a mother, I mean, our job is to nurture them and take care of them and protect them. And sometimes the tough love thing is kind of like, well, if I show tough love, what happens if he dies while I'm showing tough love? I mean, I could not even imagine that happening. So yeah, I did my very big share of enabling for a long, long time. And I think there was a moment when he was 26. I remember this very clearly. He was living with us because he went back and forth having his own place and then living with us, because it was always like he could never keep a job. And so I remember very clearly he was living with us. He was 26. It was just after Christmas. And he was in a really, really good space. He was sober. He'd been sober for a few weeks. And I just told my husband, this right now is the time for us to tell him to move out, because it's not going to be an argument. Right. We're not going to be fighting and kicking him out, and it's going to be all ugly. So I just went to him and I said, you know what? I don't want to be your roommate anymore. You're 26 years old. It's time for you to go be a grown-up and get your own place. So that was part of a pivotal moment.
A big move. Yeah. I think, honestly, Jane, I think every parent enables initially because they don't realize that it's not going to help, or that it's going to hurt. I mean, I think you kind of slide into it very innocently, like you're like, he's telling me he just needs some money and he'll get to get on his feet. Okay, I'll give him some money. And he tells me he has to live at home in order to get things worked out before he can move out, before he has to make some money, and you believe, I mean, addicts are good cons, of course. Yeah. So they tell a good story and you're right there with it. So you go along with it, and it takes a while to wake up and say, this is not changing and things are not getting better, and my help is not helping, and so I don't think it's nothing to blame yourself for. I think everybody does that. We want to help and not realizing that it's not helpful until we're down the road and we've got some bruises and scars to show for it.
It's true. And you know what else I think, Tricia? We always think we're different. We always think our situation's different.
Right.
Well, I'm different. My child's different. Right. My child, I know he's going to respond to this. We all think we're different.
So true.
And you know what? It's nice to think you're unique, but in situations like this, there's way too much evidence to the contrary.
Yep, it's so true. Wow. Yeah. Well, I'm glad he's doing better. I think that's great. And it's, it takes time. I mean, typically, you have to do first things first, and I'm sure, you don't want him to die. So obviously not drinking is a whole lot better than more important initially than not eating cheeseburgers. So I think it's, it's a progressive thing, where he'll, at least he's awake enough, and clear enough and able to support himself so he can start making conscious decisions about how he wants the rest of his life to be and how healthy he wants to be. So
there's no doubt. And he makes an effort every single day. In fact, surprisingly, he eats very, very healthy, and he's pretty much at the same level as I am knowledge-wise on nutrition. Yeah. He studies it and he loves it. And I think it's just, he's still single. So he goes home after he goes to the gym, because he works out every day. Yeah. He's a big, strong boy. And I think he just gets lonely.
No, it's a lot of fun.
And it's like this is fun to eat food because it tastes good, and we all know how that is.
It's emotional eating for sure. You're talking to the right crowd. We know all about it. We wrote the book, actually. Okay, so talk to me, since you are so healthy, about some of your favorite things that you do for your health. Besides exercise, we know you exercise, you're out in nature a lot, you're breathing fresh air. And that's awesome.
I think it's really important to you always hear exercise. I mean, this is not new. We're not reinventing the wheel.
Totally.
But honestly, our bodies are designed to move. And that's another reason to not watch TV, because when you sit, literally, it only takes a few minutes for the neurons that support and fire your muscles for them to shut down. Just sitting, even so, if you have a sit down job, you should stand up at least once an hour and shake it out. If you can get a desk that's a stand up desk that even maybe adjusts back and forth to stand up, sit down, that's really optimal. So the exercise thing is, to me, that's just part of who I am. Yeah. I can't imagine a day when I don't move. So that would be something that I would really suggest that people start, even if it's just walking.
Yeah.
And I know it's winter here. I live in Salt Lake. It's cold, and other places it's warm. But if it's cold where you live, bundle up and walk around the block, walk around your neighborhood. It's free. Most people can walk, even if you have to walk slow and shuffle along. That's a start, and that's movement. What I've also really discovered is we don't need as much as we eat. And I know this is your total realm too. We have so much food that's always accessible. I find that I would rather have small amounts of really super delicious food than big old quantities of super delicious food.
Yeah.
Because it's, my husband is a cook. My husband is a chef.
Wow.
And he lives and breathes to match good food with good wine. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So we actually cook for ourselves most of the time. So I'm chopping up my salads or whatever I'm making, and he's making his food. But salads are big in my life.
Love them.
Right?
My favorite thing in all the world is salads.
Yeah.
People,
I would say
they're so underappreciated. I have to tell you. Sure. People always want a sandwich. Like, no, cut out the bread and put lettuce instead.
Yeah. In fact, here's a really good thing that people might not know. There's two things, and I'll share this with you really quick. Okay. So number one, as far as the bread, because you always hear, it's all trendy to be gluten intolerant or have celiac disease. It's all trendy to be that.
Yeah.
And that's not really a thing. And the thing is, if you look back, people hear about GMOs. If you look back when wheat was hybridized, it was back in the 1950s, wheat started becoming hybridized. That means they started changing the wheat structure, the genetic structure of wheat. Since the 1950s, wheat has been hybridized 26,000 times. And every single time it's hybridized, it forms 6 new proteins. So all those times it's been hybridized, there's now thousands of new proteins. And our biology has not evolutionary caught up to that.
Wow.
So we are like 30,000 years behind catching up to the fact where our body recognizes those proteins. So they compromise our gut lining. And really, wheat and grains like that hurt us.
So
you might handle them okay, but
what other grains? Because we hear about wheat, but what other grains can be classified that same way?
Rice, corn.
Okay.
I mean, corn is corn and soy. Those things are just
because they're hybridized. Same reason.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Now, soy. If you ferment soy, fermented soy is different.
Okay.
Because it's fermented. Now it's completely changed. Mm-hmm. But
what product is that? Tempeh you're talking about?
I'm talking about like miso and tempeh and things that are soy. But if you eat a lot of tofu because you're a vegetarian, it's time to stop.
Yeah.
Tofu is not a health food.
Right.
And that's been known for a lot of years. I mean, this is not new information.
Right.
So that's one thing that is, I don't think a lot of people quite realize just on that level. And then here's another really cool little thing. Okay, if you think about bees, a bee larvae, all the bees, the little bee larvae that are born, all of them get royal jelly when they're first born, all of them. And it's a secretion that bees make, almost like mother's milk. So that's how nutritious mother's milk is. Well, royal jelly is that nutritious. It helps bees grow. Okay. Well, all bees get that for the first 3 or 4 days of their life. But then only one chosen bee, the queen bee, keeps getting royal jelly for the rest of her life. All the other bees that turn into worker bees get honey and pollen. The only thing that makes a worker and a queen different is diet. That's all.
Wow, I did not know that.
They all start out the same. So we can apply that to us. What we put in makes us. It can make us a queen, or it can make us a worker.
Yep. Little pop, little popper. Wow. Yeah. No, it does. It makes all the difference. That's great. Well, I always ask somebody at the end of my show, Jane, and I'm going to ask you, what's your deepest hunger?
Well, this is my deepest hunger. I long for the day when human beings don't have to suffer from lack of simple health knowledge. Because health is not complicated, but we've made it complicated. When someone has these health challenges, whether they're dealing with cancer, some serious disease, or obesity, or whatever, and they want to make a difference and they have a desire to change, they go onto the internet where it's all the world's at their fingertips, but it's complicated.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not complicated. And I watch every day, I see people suffer from just a lack of basic, simple health knowledge. So I would say that's my deepest hunger, is to provide that simple shift where people can go, oh, it's not that hard.
Yep. And people do that. I mean, you're every day offering health information you just make it so simple. You've done that here today, and I know you do it every day through your videos and your newsletter. So we will put, for everybody tuning in, go to the show notes at healyourhunger.com on the podcast page, and you'll get the information on tuning into Jane and being able to follow her, because she's just awesome and so inspirational, and she inspires me all the time. So thank you so much for being here. I just adore you and I appreciate you. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with everybody here today.
My pleasure, Tricia. Thank you so much for having me on. I adore you too.
Okay, thanks. Take care.
If you enjoyed this show and want to get free support, insider health info, exclusive invites to events, and more, visit healyourhunger.com.